just fucking place.
Undoubtedly, the building mechanic in Fortnite has created a skill ceiling for the game that is seemingly unreachable. While early on this mechanic was mainly used for the purpose of shielding yourself when out in the open, it very quickly became a core feature that this game was known for because of the amount of potential that it creates when engaging in fights. Naturally, because of the amount of potential with this mechanic and the ever-increasing skill ceiling, it fosters a large community of competitive or sweaty players. Sweats can be an issue for any game that has a fraction of competitiveness associated with it. They can create an environment that makes it very difficult for a new or returning player to be able to experience the game without getting frustrated after getting completely steamrolled. Most games early on will have similar issues with their player base, however they will often tackle the problem in a way that they can benefit from it. Epic Games, however, has made some very poor decisions that are one-sided, driving the community apart, and furthermore spreading the sweat problem they are trying to adjust for. I would go as far as to say that many of the tropes that Epic will employ to try and remove this problem ultimately make the game more of a chore to play than it was in the first place. Back in Season 4 of Chapter 1, Epic added the Playgrounds playlist, which gave players the option to play the game in a sandbox-style mode. However, this playlist came with some unforeseen consequences. While the Playgrounds playlist was used by many to mess around or 1v1 your friends till the end of the game, it very quickly became a tool for players to practice their building mechanics with little to no limitations of running out of materials or time. With the addition of the Playgrounds playlist, Epic had essentially shot themselves in the foot because they had now created a tool that allowed players to improve rapidly because of the potential this mode created for practicing. While the intention of the implementation of this mode might have been to create a way for players to get familiar with the game's incredibly advanced mechanics, it instead served to allow already good players to get even better, which effectively raised the skill floor for playing the game. Now by this point, the damage of Playgrounds had already been done, and regardless, players improving in skill level over time is inevitable and was something that Epic was going to have to deal with eventually. This new problem that Epic had was essentially just a test of how they would respond being given the dilemma that many competitive games have when they originally release. Unfortunately, for reasons that are beyond me, Epic made the poor decision of trying to drive away the majority of players that were now populating their game. Rather than using the competitive aspect that came with playing Fortnite to their advantage, they went out of their way to specifically target the player base that they had created. Season 5 saw the addition of many spray weapons that polluted the loot pool, in the hopes that it would give a below average or new player the chance to get a free elimination on a better player. The P90, because of its rather intense spray capabilities, would often make the main mechanic in the game, building, which would define a player's skill level, more of a chore to perform than anything. To add insult to injury, the new spray weapons that Epic was now promoting with the brand new season, at times wouldn't really do a whole lot to help a worse player, as a better player with the same weapon was still far more likely to come out on top. In one season update, Epic managed to ruin the shotgun meta that made Fortnite so special, as well as creating a wedge between the casual and competitive sides of the community by implementing changes that no one liked. These changes didn't solve their sweat problem, and it only made people more angry when they realized that Epic was more than willing to create a terrible experience if it meant that a new player might be able to get an easy kill on a better player. More than anything, Season 5's changes surrounding the meta showcased Epic's laziness when trying to balance the game for either side of the community playing Fortnite.
Look, this guy just knows it's such a joke. I hip-fired that!
Despite the backlash that Epic would receive for these backwards one-sided decisions, there have been many instances over the years that further highlight Epic's terrible decision-making. The interesting thing, however, is despite Epic's previous efforts to keep their sweat problem from increasing, many of the decisions they made over Chapter 1 only seem to fuel the fire. Chapter 1 Season 7 launched with the Creative mode, which was a far more advanced version of Playgrounds. This mode, similar to Playgrounds, allowed players to increase their skill very quickly in a short period of time, with the only difference being Creative was an even better tool of doing so. It's strange because the same season that added Creative also saw the addition of the Planes and the Mythic Sword. These additions once again were still clearly targeted towards casual play, but still managed to fester in competitive modes. It's very clear that Epic wants to target their game more towards casual play. The problem is they consistently create changes that appeal to no one, and if anything further spread the problem they're trying to eliminate. The infamous addition of the mechs in Season X is by far the most poorly received change of the chapter. Epic responded to the backlash it received with a blog post titled Fortnite and the Brute, where they wrote, "The mission of Fortnite is to bring players of all skill levels together to have a fun experience where anyone can win. For example, everyone having a shot at their first elimination or victory royale moment. Another part of Fortnite's mission is to provide spectacle and entertainment when playing Fortnite."
Huh? Oh, come on! You gotta admit this is cool!
The Brute was added at the start of Season X with this mission in mind.
Well, you certainly took care of that, didn't you?
Since then, we have seen players who have previously struggled with getting eliminations acquiring more, while the number of eliminations earned by a more experienced player has remained steady. I shouldn't have to explain why giving bad players a free win by acquiring more eliminations against better ones is absolute cancer. They go on to provide a graph to cement their shit takes, saying that because only X number of players are being eliminated by the mechs each game, it's completely fine to let these abysmal cancerous changes corrupt the game. Epic follows these trends of creating horrible one-size-fits-all solutions throughout the game's history, and while many people will ignore the state of the game as to not discourage their audience from playing the game, or worse, not watching their content,
Don't talk back to me, you little shit!
much of these problems still taint the experience of playing Fortnite today, as Epic over the years has continued to create changes that are targeted towards this quote-unquote mission of Fortnite. All of the changes I have talked about were initially made to combat the problem of sweats, but due to Epic's laziness and sloppiness in their updates towards the game, they have never really fixed this problem. There is the addition of competitive playlists such as Arena, as well as tournaments that were hosted on Epic's end. However, for one reason or another, these modes didn't do a whole lot to fix their issue. The Arena playlist added back in Season 8 worked during the time because of the number of players that were playing the game back in 2019. Unfortunately, they never took advantage of having a large player base to allow this mode to function short term while they worked up a better solution. The mode was riddled with problems from the start, such as the lack of incentive it gave players to keep playing after hitting Champions League. Overall, many players didn't feel it was necessary to keep playing a mode where they were facing better players, with seemingly no reward, when they could just simply pub stomp for infinite wins. This was amplified by the fact that the Arena and Public Lobbies playlist functioned exactly the same. Apart from a few select seasons during Chapter 2, Epic made absolutely no efforts of splitting the loot pool to make a better experience for players that were trying to play the game more competitively. This means that changes that were made on behalf of casual players would affect competitive loot pools and vice versa. Epic's decision making has created an incredibly toxic environment for the game where casual players have to deal with pub stompers and competitive ones have to deal with less than competitive changes that reduce incentive for playing ranked modes. In Chapter 4 Season 2, Epic would announce what I believe to be the answer to this with the brand new ranked playlist. However, if anything, the new playlist just amplified the parts of Arena that made it a bad competitive playlist. Overall, it's just exhausting to see a lack of understanding and repeated mistakes from a company that seemingly never learns. I know this video was incredibly negative, but there's no real way of sugarcoating it. Epic created a problem early on, and over the years they have made the Fortnite community pay for it in one way or another, by driving them apart and at times making the game a complete chore to play. There is, however, a small light at the end of the tunnel for some in the form of the zero building mode. As I discussed in a video relating to how the mode benefited the game, it offers a very casual friendly experience for those who want to enjoy Fortnite without the weight of the building mechanic and with it sweaty players. It's unfortunate for those who still want to play the building playlist, as the minimum skill you need to be an average player is forever increasing. Because of this, people often suggest that Epic should handicap building by reducing turbo building and removing other quality of life changes surrounding the building mechanic, when these changes were ultimately implemented in the first place to make building a more fluid and polished experience. It's a pretty horrendous idea, but I almost can't blame people for wanting this type of outcome considering Epic's unwillingness to make necessary changes. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a great day.